Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Seeing Beyond and Through with Monty. Right before you is a post from a podcast, and this particular podcast is titled Men on the Move. Now, this particular post here garnered attention and it created a lot of controversy. It is by this particular Men on the Move podcast, and what it says right there, many did not agree with. Many people, mainly men, actually all men, took issue with it. And if you cannot read it, it says something that is extremely offensive. And what it's doing is that it's taking the passport bro phenomenon into a different direction. In case you have a hard time understanding what it's saying, I want to highlight it in larger form for you. It says black women have to understand if a black man is not attracted to dark-skinned women, he is no obligated, I think it means not obligated, to date one. Passport family, put yourself first. When I looked at that, I'm sitting up there thinking, wait a minute. When have the passport movement ever been against dark-skinned black women? It has never been about skin tone. It has never been about color. So why is he inserting colorism into a movement? It seems like he has a problem with dark-skinned women. And many of the men who read this did not like it, as you will see later. But when I looked on his page, I noticed that he tends to be very anti-black. And I'm against this anti-black women, I should say. And I'm against this black male versus black female phenomena. I think it's very counterproductive. I think it plays into the hands of the enemy. It does not benefit the black community. It's detrimental and very scarring to black children to have to witness this. I'm so glad that in the 80s, 90s, we had nothing like this. This phenomenon here, and to the full-blown scale that it is at now, it is fairly new. This is within the past, I'm going to say, 3 years, if that. But he goes on to say, Latina woman tells the truth about black women. See that? Very negative, using another race to put down his own race. Because his mother's black, his father's black. But let's go on. Thai woman tells the truth about black women. His sisters are black. His aunts are black. So you got to really wonder about the self-hatred of men who do this. Now, modern women showing they belong in the streets, and he has a picture of a black woman there. When will these men learn that these other races of women do not prefer black men like they think? Many of these other races of women primarily see black men as a meal ticket. If he's a multi-millionaire athlete, he's a meal ticket. They pretty much won the lottery. Many a times, if he's a passport bro, to get them out of their dire straits, their poor countries, their poor conditions, to get them into a better way of living, a better standard of living, they will latch on to black men. But because black men, our egos are so big and inflated, we don't want to believe otherwise. We want to believe that it's all about us and only us. But let's continue on. So with this little statement that he made right there, that black women need to understand that black men, some of them do not desire dark-skinned black women. Let me read it again. Black women have to understand if a black man is not attracted to dark-skinned women, he is no obligated to date one. Passport family, put yourself first. But let me just tell you one thing. In studying the passport bros, that's not what the movement is about. The movement is not about colorism. It's not about dark-skinned black women. It's not really about black women. It is about men who are looking for traditional women, kind of like the women of yesteryear who are submissive to men. Not that they're saying that they want her to do everything that a man tells them, but they want women who are pretty much going to take care of the house, take care of their man, cater to their man, who has feminine qualities, who's not aggressive and abrasive, which that could be a woman of any type, any color, any complexion, any culture, any race. That is not about black women. Many of these passport bros who are black are actually looking for black women in other countries. They just do not like the American or westernized women in America of today. That's what that's about. So this particular fool right there is going to make this about dark-skinned black women simply because he has a problem with them, simply because he is not attracted to them, simply because he do not want to reproduce with dark-skinned black women. And usually what you tend to find with this here, you tend to find men who do that tend to be dark-skinned themselves. If that's not self-hatred, I do not know what is. But I want to take you back to right here. In response to that little thing that he wrote about not being attracted to dark-skinned women. Now, these are the men who chimed in. And you can look at his podcast, that little post that he wrote, and you're going to find a lot. He goes, yes, however, this isn't about skin tone issues. This is a black man who wrote that. We're going to hear more, or see more of this right here. Okay, I'm with you except for the skin tone remark. I like all shades of chocolate as long as she has the qualities I'm looking for on a mate. Femininity, being submissive, being traditional. That's what they are looking for. They're not necessarily looking for a woman of another race or ethnicity. Or basically, I should say, of a lighter color too. Not just about skin tone. My ex was light skinned with a nasty attitude. Passport bros for life. Yeah, when you start making generalized statements like because of dark skin tone, you're somehow making the foolish assumption that because a female is dark skinned, she's going to be rough, manly, abrasive, nasty, unattractive. You haven't met all black women to know that, or dark skinned women. And you start going to the opposite end, which is foolishness, because someone is light skinned, that somehow she's feminine, she's going to be submissive, she's going to have all these traditional cultural values, she's going to have a great attitude, and that's not the case either. Let's move on. Yes, I'm black and I love black women, as stated below. I do not like dark, aggressive, hard, masculine attitude. We want our women to be women. Please, men, be leaders so they can relax. So as you see right there, he clearly states that it's about attitude. Unlike this particular podcast, whoever controls this Men on the Move podcast, this poster right here sums it up very well. It's about the dark, abrasive, masculine attitude. That can be any woman. And he says right here, this is real safe-hating brother trying to co-opt the movement. Never been about dark skin. Many passport bros build with African sisters or Afro-Latinas or other melanated sisters. It's about cooperation and lack of it. Exactly. Exactly. That's what it's about right there. He sums it up very well. And I actually chimed in too. I chimed in and stated that please don't make this about skin tone color or black women. The passport bro movement is about attitude and the current state of Western women. It is not about running away from black women. It's about running away from stubborn, aggressive, masculine traits in any woman. That's what the movement is about. So it's really pitiful. And it's such a shame that this black man who has this podcast has to turn this or co-opt the movement into a coloration issue or to a colorism issue, making it about dark-skinned women. But as you see right there, you have black men who are fighting back, who are objecting to where he's trying to take the movement and who are objecting to what he is saying. Such as this one. I don't see skin tone, it as a skin tone issue, more like a cultural and attitude issue. That's exactly what it's right. It's an attitude issue. It's a cultural issue. Not about coloration, not about someone being dark or light. Many of these men can care less about skin tone. If you believe that, yeah, and I do believe it. Many of them, it's the attitude of Western women today. And by the way, the passport bro phenomenon is not a new phenomenon at all. The first ones to do this were white men in the 1970s, 1980s, but they used the term mail order bride. It was before the internet age kicked off, where they would go to the Philippines, primarily the Philippines, poor countries, to get what they call mail order brides. Some of them was in Eastern Europe also. Well, the Philippines was first in the 70s, then 80s came Eastern European countries, where snail mail was the thing then, and they would meet women by mail. Here we go, like 50 years later, it gave birth to the passport bros. But it's not a new phenomenon. But what I want to point out to you is that it had to take a black male, unfortunately, to turn this into, or to try to co-opt the movement and turn it into color, making it about a dark-skinned female and black men running away from them, and that's not the issue at all. He has an issue with dark-skinned black women. He does not find dark-skinned black women attractive. He does not want to reproduce with dark-skinned black women. But now he's trying to get others to be on his side and to agree with him in the way in which his twisted mind thinks. But as you can clearly see, a lot of black men are not going along with that. And a lot of black men have spoken out against it. And many black men will continue to speak out against this foolishness and nonsense and this diabolical attitude of trying to put down black women. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is another edition of Seeing Beyond and Through with Monty, and I will see you all beyond and through.